The pea-brained characters that typically inhabit horror flicks seem to have a disastrous propensity for consistently making the most idiotic of decisions. Indeed, needlessly splitting up with the film's focal group, exploring terrifying areas with no light or weaponry, and inexplicably dawdling on the very edge of safety number among horror's most prevalent tropes. This lamentable characteristic has decidedly not let up over the course of the last decade, with horror fans being treated to some spectacularly dumb decisions against the most foreboding of backdrops. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture here with 10 dumbest decisions in recent horror movies. Number 10. Nearly boiling Ben alive in Escape Room Tournament of Champions. It's not without hyperbole to suggest that Escape Room Tournament of Champions is quite literally saturated with moronic behaviour. Why any rational human being with a functioning brain thought a sequel to 2019's disastrous offering that followed a group trapped in an array of deadly escape rooms was a worthwhile endeavour is beyond us, but the film certainly provides more than a few superb case studies in cinematic stupidity. While Nathan's swan dive into a seething lake of quicksand, or Zoe and Rachel's plan based on an assumption that the Minos Corporation would be foolish enough to leave a literal escape hatch in one of their rooms, constitute worthy entries in this category, the Tournament of Champions piece de resistance is saved for the film's final room. With her friend Ben trapped in a plexiglass container rapidly filling with water, protagonist Zoe has the wonderful idea to use a gas pipe as a makeshift flamethrower to break him free. Admirable intentions, but excruciating execution. Rather unsurprisingly, the room is devoured by gargantuan tongues of apocalyptic flame. Zoe somehow avoids barbecuing herself, Ben and recently returned from the dead Amanda, but it's worth noting that heating an enclosed container of water in such a haphazard manner could have just as easily boiled him alive like the most unfortunate of lobsters. Number 9. Instantly throwing away the upper hand in Knock at the Cabin. There's dumb, and then there's really dumb. 2023's psychological horror Knock at the Cabin follows a young family who find themselves held hostage by a group of mysterious interlopers. The latest curveball from director M. Night Shyamalan? The intruders claim that the world is doomed to be destroyed, unless the family offers up one of their own as a human sacrifice. Leonard, the leader of the sinister home invaders, is played by none other than Drax himself in the hulking Dave Bautista. Anyone familiar with the former wrestler's intimidating aura knows that this is not an individual to mess around with. As such, when the family finally get the upper hand on their menacing captor, their decision-making is absolutely clownish. Holding his colossal adversary at point-blank range with a handgun, Ben Aldridge's Andrew inexplicably locks Leonard in the bathroom rather than just blowing his head off. It gets even more idiotic when the clueless trio are double-bluffed into opening the door by the sound of the window breaking as opposed to simply escaping. In increasingly slapstick fashion, Leonard is very blatantly hiding in the bathtub behind the shower curtain. Andrew proceeds to fire into said curtain just to make sure, missing his enormous foe at a range of approximately 2 feet in a manner reminiscent of Wile E. Coyote, before being tackled and promptly subdued once again. Horror-based buffoonery at its finest. Number 8. Abandoning his animal friends in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Christopher Robin decidedly effed up with this one, although in all fairness, it is hard to imagine how any sane human being could have possibly predicted the events that were to unfold within 2023's laughably misjudged Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. In this take on A.A. Milne's beloved children's storybook character, Robin befriends a group of talking anthropomorphic animals after he begins bringing them food. Unfortunately for young Christopher, he had no idea what a dumb decision this would ultimately prove to be. Feeding Pooh & Co. wasn't the idiotic choice in itself. It was failing to consider the consequences of what would happen when Robin stopped bringing them food. After he eventually goes off to medical school, the animals starved to the point where they were forced to cannibalize beloved donkey Eeyore to survive. This harrowing flashpoint led to them swearing a vow of vengeance against their childhood friend. While a group of children's book characters committing to an undying vow of bloody retribution is about as laughable as it gets on paper, the results for Christopher are anything but. Upon the adult Robin's return to his childhood home, the animals unleash a campaign of sadistic violence that claims the lives of his fiancée and friends, underlining what a stupid mistake abandoning them had been. Of course, it goes without saying that the argument can be made that simply conceiving this film in the first place was the dumbest decision in horror history. Number 7. Melting down all the weaponry in Zombieland Double Tap. Mark, the residents of Babylon, a fortified hippie commune amidst the backdrop of Zombieland Double Tap, down as some of the more foolish inhabitants of a horror film in recent memory. Things are tough enough in a zombie apocalypse. Every day is a fight for survival when resources are sparse and the majority of the people one runs into are demented, screaming flesh eaters. As such, to say that the transgressions of these brainless bohemians are dumb is akin to stating that zombies don't mind a nibble of human flesh every now and again. As post-apocalyptic strongholds go, Babylon's inhabitants have pretty much everything working for them in terms of security. Their compound is surrounded by large reinforced walls, with the added benefit of an enormous tower for the residents to retreat to should the external defences be breached. This is all worst-case scenario, of course, due to the fact that such a fortress should be easy to defend with a basic array of weaponry. Yeah, about that. Babylon has two strict rules: no group sex and no weapons. Regrettably, the latter is the only one that is rigidly adhered to. All newcomers must melt their weapons down upon arrival. As such, when the enraged horde of T-800 zombies arrive on the scene, our heroes are left with little more than makeshift armaments to repel them. Supreme foolishness exemplified. Number 6. Falling for Noah's ruse in Fresh. Sebastian Stan's Brendan, or Steve as he initially goes by, in 2022's Fresh is clearly a man who takes his work as a human butcher very seriously. Stan's insidious antagonist is revealed to have a history of kidnapping young women before slowly harvesting their bodies over time for his own consumption. A hidden compartment unveils a staggering amount of personal possessions from his previous victims, underlining Brendan's terrifying capabilities and proficiency as a killer. As such, his decision to let his guard down around his latest victim, Daisy Edgar Jones's Noah, is about as dumb as they get. The suave cannibal mindlessly relaxes his defenses after Noah feigns an interest in human meat, somehow falling for the notion that a woman he has abducted and abused wishes to become his latest concubine. The film had previously unmasked Brendan's accomplice Anna as one of his former victims, a woman whose leg he devoured before falling in love with her. Even for smooth-talking psychopaths, however, lightning rarely strikes in one place twice. As a non-deranged and non-cannibalistic human being, Noah is decidedly not interested in pursuing a Hannibal Lecter-esque romance with her captor. Despite this fairly obvious permutation, Brendan allows Noah to seduce him. She promptly pretends to perform oral sex on him before biting off his bits and making a wild bid for freedom. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Number 5. Confessing to upstaging Pearl's audition in Pearl. Ty West's stunning prequel to X, 2022's Pearl, follows the eponymous character, a disturbed young girl obsessed with making it as a movie star. After an array of horrific killings that includes her parents and an unsuspecting projectionist, the film's penultimate sequence sees Pearl rejected at an audition in brutal fashion, dismissed for not being blonde or all-American enough for the casting crew's liking. The part actually went to Mitzi, an unsuspecting young woman who takes the devastated Pearl home to try and console her. Lost in a haze of alienation and despair, Pearl proceeds to demonstrate her ultra-concerning levels of mental instability in glorious high definition, dementedly admitting her abhorrent crimes to the increasingly uncomfortable Mitzi. This unhinged confession would have set the alarm bells ringing for most individuals, but Mitzi actually admits that she has taken the part upon being prompted by Pearl, sealing her doom when she tells her that she hopes that Pearl could come and see her perform, telling her it's going to be swell. Talk about rubbing salt in the wounds. In an even more pronounced demonstration of stupidity, Mitzi still takes her sweet time leaving a property containing a clearly disturbed individual with a bone to pick with her. Hell, she doesn't even start running until Pearl begins advancing with an axe in hand, eventually tripping over her high heels and allowing the vengeful villain to bludgeon her to death. Number 4. The Pursuit of the Impossible Shot in Nope. Jordan Peele's latest blockbuster offering, 2022's Nope, follows the attempts of several characters to capture evidence of a predatory extraterrestrial entity, referred to as Jean Jacket, in the skies over California. Amongst said characters is Michael Wincott's renowned cinematographer Antlers Holst, a grizzled veteran of his craft obsessed with capturing the impossible shot. Holst is not a stupid character by any means, particularly when compared to Duke Park, whose foolishness eventually results in himself and the entire audience of his ludicrous theme park, Jupiter's Claim, being devoured by Jean Jacket. With that being said, the cameraman's rabid pursuit of his unattainable goal duly costs him his life in the film's final goings. Despite being more than aware of the extraterrestrial being's terrifying abilities, Antlers completely neglects his own safety by climbing a hill to get a better shot of the creature, putting himself in harm's way in the interest of perfecting his art. Holst does actually manage to capture footage of Jean Jacket, but is swiftly devoured soon after along with his camera, meaning that his death in pursuit of the impossible shot was ultimately for nothing. Talk about a meaningless demise. Holst was clearly sharp as a whip, using hand-wound cameras to circumvent Jean Jacket's effect on electronic devices, but the predictable manner of his fruitless death was about as dumb as they come. Number 3. Locking himself and his sister in an airtight compartment in A Quiet Place Part 2. Marcus Abbott does not exactly cover himself in glory in the intelligence sweepstakes in 2020's follow-up to 2018's genre-redefining A Quiet Place. Marcus has a notable dope moment in the sequel's early goings for starters. After accidentally triggering one of the improvised sound alarms rigged by Cillian Murphy's Emmett, he proceeds to completely neglect to look where he is going, charging straight into a bear trap and screaming to high heaven, alerting the franchise's nightmarish antagonist to their location. Although the family survive this heart-pounding encounter, Marcus soon proves incapable of performing the one simple task allocated to him: protecting his baby sister. In the first instance, he draws the creatures to their location once again, loudly knocking over several items in shock upon discovering the decomposing corpse of Emmett's wife. He's not done yet though. In an admirable but disastrously misguided attempt to protect himself and his sister from the incoming monsters, Marcus locks himself and his sister in a furnace, a monster-proof metal compartment. The only problem? He failed to place a towel over the lock so the door can actually be reopened, meaning that Noah Jupe's character finds himself and his infant sibling locked in an airtight container with oxygen fast running out. You had one job, man. Marcus and the baby are ultimately saved only by the timely return of their vengeful mother. Number 2. Stopping to help a creepy stranger in the black phone. One of the more basic rules that parents attempt to drill into the seemingly thick skulls of their children is do not talk to strangers. Within the context of such a basic golden rule, it seems fair game to assume that this saying extends to creepy individuals who just happen to conveniently spill all their shopping at your feet before offering to show you a magic trick. Just ask the unfortunate gentleman impaled with a pencil in 2008's The Dark Knight. In cinema, nothing good ever happens after someone offers to show you a magic trick. Unfortunately for the Black Phone's central protagonist Finney, these rather basic preconceptions appear to have gotten lost in the ether. As Ethan Hawke's grabber prepares to spring his exceedingly obvious trap, Finney enthusiastically agrees to witness our ominous magician's trick, making the connection between the sinister black balloons in the back of the man's van and the spate of abductions in the area approximately an eon too late. After a brief struggle, Mason Thames's lead is stuffed into the back of the van and carted off to the soundproof basement where he spends the rest of the film. It seems harsh to say that Finney had that coming, but he couldn't have made it much easier for the grabber if he had trussed himself up and teleported into the basement. Number 1. Exploring a terrifying subterranean lair in Barbarian. Place yourself in this individual's shoes. You arrive at a property you own, where there are clear signs that people have been staying despite your lack of knowledge to the contrary. The door to the basement is open and a little further exploration soon reveals an ominous hidden door. Behind said door lies a truly macabre room, containing a mouldy mattress, a camcorder and a bucket, a chamber clearly designed for holding somebody prisoner. Directly across from this apartment torture den lies another door, concealing a stairway that could easily be mistaken for the entrance to hell, a foreboding set of steps descending endlessly into the lightless bowels of the earth. One does not have to be a detective to realise that remaining in this frightful environment could be detrimental to one's health, unless apparently the person in question is Barbarian's AJ Gilbride. Played in a delightfully obnoxious turn by Justin Long, the character fails to comprehend the iota of warning signs before him. He's more excited about the prospect of adding more square footage to the value of his property than the fact that someone was clearly imprisoned in the basement. Gaining even more brownie points for flawless intellect, AJ eventually descends the stairs and duly comes face to face with the nightmarish mother, a mutated, inbred daughter of a serial killer who once owned the property, to set events in motion for a horrifically gruesome demise. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed something, then do let us know in the comments down below, and while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also, head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.